Let's see where Essence is. Essence, go ahead. Okay, you've come up now, so that's good. Go ahead. All right, we'll certainly be listening to David in the next day or two. I just didn't quite hear where you are at the moment. Over. Did you hear that?
No.
No. Give me a country to start with. Was it Vavau? Over. Okay, Fiji. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Just in and out a little bit here. All right, Fiji. Oh, it's good. All right, David's definitely looking at. In fact, he is scratching his head, which is not a good thing because he's not got a lot of hair to scratch. But anyway, he's got enough. But anyway, yeah, I don't think he was very enthused about passage weather. But we'll see what he has to say. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. We hope it's a better morning where you are. Don't forget, we have to go to 8779 when we have radar. Boy, things are heating up in the old radar department, aren't they? We've had a few annoyances. We don't have a very good morning here. It's a light drizzle. Well, what a surprise. But for those that are getting closer, it is a little bit warmer. 15 degrees, 15 degrees. 9 knots of northeasterly, so that's actually quite nice if anyone is getting closer. It is heavy cloud though, and doesn't look very wonderful for the rest of the day. We do have a couple of boats that are getting close. Laris will not be able to copy us this morning because they are at 3-1 and 176 east, give or take. Don't forget, folks, when you do go, there's nothing wrong with your radio, but when you get below 30, usually you cannot copy Gulf Harbour Radio on this frequency. You'll be in the skip, as we say. The old signal goes up, it comes down, and this is that bit in between. But Laris this morning, similar conditions to us, really. They have light and variable winds, 1022, 70% cloud cover, and it's calm. They only have 269 miles to go, so they'll be smelling the barn. Pretty good, really. They're doing 5.9 motoring. Did I tell you what ours was? 1022.9, so pretty similar out there. We've got 15 degrees and again an 8 northeast, so they might get a little bit of wind. No Worries are a couple of degrees behind them, but the rate they're going, they'll catch up. They motor at 8.5 knots. Wow, Ota have a 47-foot motor cat. Well, they'll slow down for fishing probably. They had hilarious reports over the weekend. On Saturday, they had a double hookup, one skipjack and one yellowfin head. Somebody else got in on that one, but yesterday they had a yellowfin and 2 mahi-mahi. Good thing about fishing on the way back again is that you do have a pretty empty freezer, so they'll certainly be filling it up at that rate. They, at the moment, are at 2906 and 17450, and they have 6 knots from the east, blue sky and a dash of cumulus to the far east, less than 1 metre swell. What? Gosh, you couldn't get more perfect conditions for a power cat, could you? Going further north, we have Kuhela back in Numia, very light north-northwest winds, 3 knots. And a bank of cloud to the southwest, 1014.5. Lucan in Muscat, good morning guys, 3 to 5 from the south, 1015, and 100% cloud with a little light rain, 22 degrees. Gosh, Fiji has had its share of rain just like us this season. Okay, well, let's do a bit of a roundup. I'm not sure if anyone's interested in the rugby, but I like to do a bit of a roundup. South Africa walloped Italy 49-3. Australia beat Uruguay 45-10. England beat Argentina 39-10. Japan beat Samoa 38-19. They're very high-scoring games these days with the rules, aren't they? New Zealand beat Namibia 71. I think that's the highest score, 71-9. And Tonga gave France a real scare. They lost in the end. France beat Tonga 23-21. But Tonga got 3 tries to France's 2, but they gave away more penalties. So France better improve before they play Tonga to England. I think it's next weekend. Some interesting news from cricket. I know people out there cruising couldn't care less what happened to the sporting world. I know we didn't when we were cruising. But anyway, India are playing South Africa in a test match. And Indians Rohit Sharma, it's in his maiden test actually, he broke the record for the most sixes in a test. He scored quite a few. So that's, it's 13 actually, 13 sixes. And he got 176 runs in the first innings and 127 in the second. So he's doing rather well. At the moment, I'm just going to turn the heater off. Hang on. Roast here. All right. What else have we got here? Just the usual. Protests in Iraq have killed 99 with thousands wounded in only the last 5 days. I mean, things just don't change over there, do they? Don't suppose it's on anybody's must go and visit list. There are a bit of a sad news actually from Thailand. A baby elephant fell into a waterfall at a national park in Thailand, and 6 adult elephants tried to save it and lost their lives too. What a mess. Boy. You'd think elephants, well, I suppose they're a little bit unwieldy when they get into swirling water, but that's what happens anyway. Chicks. David will be upset about this one. They are definitely on the way out. I don't know whether anybody out there is travelling with chicks, but they have been phased out completely in the Netherlands, Namibia, Denmark. They're certainly on their way out here in New Zealand. There's very few places will accept checks anymore. There are only 1% in the UK of transactions are checks, sort of going the way that fax machines and pages, personal pages, cassette recorders. Our lifetimes are seeing quite a few changes, aren't they? All right, let's go on. Oh, by the way, the Australian, one's Australian and one's UK, the ones that decided to fly the drone in Iran and got jailed, they are now free. But they don't breathe because they clearly don't have too many brains between them. Of interest to us, there is a German research vessel, and it's positioned itself way, way up north, 85 degrees north and 137 degrees east. And they're just going to sit there. They got there with the help of a Russian icebreaker, and they're going to just sit stuck in the ice and see what happens for a year. They've got scientists flying in and out, researching the ice, the ocean, the atmosphere, wildlife, all the different things affecting life in the Arctic. There'll be about 600 scientists spending their life on board. It's called the Polar Stern. Where are you going? I've got the wrong glasses. Okay, yes, one of us is vacating the scene here. I was just going to tell him something that was of importance to him. I'll wait till he gets back again. Today in London, this is a funny one. The Chicago Bears are taking on the Oakland Raiders. I thought they were called the LA Raiders, but anyway, the Oakland Raiders. They're having their game in London. I'm not sure where. Didn't look that one up. It just seemed a bit weird to me. I don't know how Londoners are going to take to American football. Well, it will give them something to think about other than what's going on in Japan. There are 13 new cardinals. The Pope has anointed. Hopefully they've all been investigated thoroughly so that they don't cause any scandals. What about, it looks like Boris Johnson is slowly getting MP support for his Brexit plans, which is good. Now all he needs to do is get a willing EU to go along with him. But it would be nice if everything did get settled by the end of October, because otherwise he's going to just pull out, which I told is not going to be very good. Okay, well, David's back again now to hear that NASA is launching a very important rocket this week. It's called the Ionospheric Connection Explorer, and it's called ICON for short, Ionospheric Connection. Okay, ICON. It's a mission that will take off on Wednesday, and its satellite will study the zone high in the Earth's atmosphere where terrestrial weather and the space weather meet. It's got the aim of mitigating effects on human technology, communication systems, and society. That's a very lofty ideal. It's good to have aspirations, isn't it? But anyway, maybe they'll come up with some improvements for the dreadful conditions that radio is experiencing at the moment. You all know that we're at the bottom pit of propagation. When we were cruising, every day we would talk from Europe or South America, wherever we were, to New Zealand. Well, you certainly couldn't do that now. What else is there? Portugal is having a general election. The minority socialist government at the moment are doing quite well, so I suppose they're thinking it's a good time for an election. But the current Prime Minister's past role as a guerrilla fighter against Serbia is sort of clouding the issue somewhat. Well, if you want to go and you're an unmarried couple, you can now book a hotel in Saudi. Did you think that that would be on your list? No, I don't think it's on David's list. Well, we are married, but we've got different names, so I suppose you'd have to prove in the past that you were married. But anyway, if you are unmarried now, gosh, they are really getting modern, aren't they? Ukraine leaders are doing quite well with discussions with Russia. They're going to withdraw their troops in a proposed peace deal with Russia on the front line there. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian AN-12 cargo plane, it was flying from Spain to Turkey, ran out of fuel. That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Crashed, killed 5 people. So that wasn't too good. Let's have a look at what streaming is doing at the moment before I have a quick look at anything else that's come in. We have reports. Good morning, Mr. Troy. He's on his own over there. Hope he's not getting up to mischief. Q, we're about today. They're headed to Grand Terre from Uvea today. So, don't know, 6 knots from the southeast. That's about normal, isn't it? So that's pretty good. Eagle's Wings, they're at Port Vila. 5 knots from the east-southeast, mostly cloudy, 1013. Diego's obviously woken up now. 19 degrees, so that's not too bad. Early morning in up there at inside the marina, 1018, no wind. Muscat Cove, good morning to the Jasper Twos. Well, here's Port Vila to Noumea looking. How's that looking on Wednesday? Arriving Friday night. We'll have to have a look at that shortly. La Eleanor is in Port Vila and Scoot, but I must do something about changing that on the website today. Good morning, Randy. Where are they? Volley Point. I love that name. Northeast, Viti Levu. They've been up on the northeast side for quite some time. Mostly cloudy, but no rain at the moment. 1014, 26 degrees, 15 knots of east to southeast. And La Eleanor is going to Port Vila too, so there's a couple of people there wanting to head to that direction. No problems at all. Lady Nada is still sailing in dream conditions. They have 350 miles to go to Opua, and they're doing 9 knots. Holy smoke! They've got 13 knots from the east-northeast, so that sounds pretty good, boy. And they are not too far. Oh no, they're further to the west of No Worries. They are at 2956 and 171, and they're doing 9 knots with that 13 knots from the northeast, and they've had that for about 12 hours. 1 metre southerly swell, 12-second period, so that's pretty pleasant. They've got the odd bit of cloud around, so there you go. Wow, nice sailing. It's good to have conditions like that. All right, there's my phone's going ping, ping, ping. So let's. Oh no, it's just Vodafone. No report there. All right, so I'll just see if there's anybody else standing by on 8779er to see if there's anybody else, and then we'll hand it over to David. There was somebody there. Go ahead. And whereabouts are you? dear, I've got a real mess on my piece of paper. Could you just start again? Just degrees and minutes. Degrees and minutes. No decimals. Start again. Got it. So what are the conditions at 2210 and 16726 east? Go ahead.
We have three times
Okay, got that, and mostly flat seas because of the no wind. So I guess the motor is on. And what is your ETA? Over. Sorry, say again, and I need course and speed. Over.
Our course is 245. And current speed, once we get off the radio, will be on 6 knots.
Okay, got it. 245 and 6 knots motoring, so it seems a good time to go. All right, thank you. Got that.
What was ETA?
ETA, I think he said Wednesday. Hang on.
Wednesday.
Yeah, David's just looking at that. Looks pretty good. Yep. All right, I am going to pass the microphone now. We usually like to start weather at 8:30 as it is here in New Zealand. 7:30 UTC. Well, actually, it's 19:30 UTC. Let's be precise about this. And for those of you that might want to check in, I sometimes have a minute or two before the 7:30 start, but I am here earlier if you want it, and we are here after the weather. Okay, here is David.
All right, good morning. And as usual, a quick look at 500 millibar. Finds it closed off, upward low, closed off, meaning you've got circular iso heights. This is just northwest of New Zealand. Now the flow up there splits in the mid-Tasman. The northern flow then becomes the short wave that has closed off, and the flow to the south actually completes a very, very nice ridge, a very nice upper ridge at 500 millibar. Now the next shortwave trough that I can see coming our way lies over the Bight, the Australian Bight. That's today. I can see it sitting there. So it's on its way in our direction. So the result of all the activity that I just mentioned finds a surface high that's moving off New Zealand's North Island. And surface lows in the Tasman are quite evident. Multiple centers, I count 7, 8 frontal bands and troughs, basically from the Bight all the way into the eastern Tasman. Quite a bit of cyclonic flow. In other words, not very pleasant down there. Those of you that are coming in from the north hopefully are not going to be involved with this. On the fringe of that New Zealand high that we talked about, the one that's moving off, 2 active troughs are quite evident. Remember, I hope that we warned you quite a bit of convective development that was going to occur over Fiji and Tonga. We predicted this on Friday. Well, they're there. A very juicy trough runs from Vanuatu all the way over to Tonga, and another juicy one lies over Fiji and heads up to northern Tonga and onward to Samoa, near Samoa, actually. So if we look forward a few days from now to around lunchtime on, we'll pick Wednesday, a couple days from now, Wednesday, the high continues to move east. It'll be centered near 38 and 165 west. That's 38 and 165. And pressure fairly strong. Pressure 1032 millibar. Now in the mid-Tasman, a very well developed depression is sitting near 40 and 160, 40 and 160 east, 40 south, 160 east. And the winds between it and New Zealand are northwesterlies, actually northwesterlies to northerlies, and they'll be about 25 knots in the mean, so quite fresh winds in front of the system. Now the cold front looks to strike New Zealand this coming Friday, which will be, I believe, the 12th. So that is the next cold front. So those of you that are just about to arrive in New Zealand, you time that pretty good, getting in as these northerly quadrant winds precede the frontal band. That's the ideal thing to do. Now up in the tropics, we have a trough that runs east of Vanuatu to southern Fiji. I mentioned that a minute ago. And the other one from just west of Tuvalu goes to Rotuma, then onward to Fiji and Tonga. There is a third trough, and that runs Rotuma, Wallis, Tokelau, and that goes on to the northern Cook. So a fair amount of activity up in the deep tropics and down to the islands area. Now for Tonga itself, just looking there, Tonga Met has issued a strong wind warning and a small craft advisory for New Potatoes, that's New Tukitapu, it's well to the north of Vavau, Vavau itself, the Hapais, and Tonga Tapu. There is also a very heavy rain warning, and well, we can't be complete unless we have a flash flood advisory. That's for the same area, up and down the chain. So that was pretty much just as forecast. So plenty of clouds, plenty of convective activity, and plenty of rain, wind to keep you interested. Weather is interesting. Okay, expect the winds, though, east to southeast, 15 to 20, rising 25 quite often during the day. The pressure, by the way, for Vavau, 1016, rounding it off, 1016 millibar, and that was early this morning about 6 a.m. Now tomorrow, the winds are going to increase just a wee bit. Expect gusts to 25 to 30 knots, and the seas are getting up there to about 3 meters in the open water, 3 meters. The winds should remain northeasterly quadrant right through Wednesday. Over to Fiji, where, as we forecast, an active trough does affect the group, plus a very heavy rain warning is in place by Fiji Met for much of the country. And this should continue right through tomorrow as well. So with that, you can also expect thunderstorms, and of course they can complete with squally conditions and plenty of wind shifts. So be careful about where you anchor and how close to your neighbor that you are. Winds in general, east to southeast, 20 to 22, 25 knots, right in through there. Rough seas and a moderate southerly swell rolling in. Now these fresh winds will drift toward the east tomorrow, leaving actually quite variable directions through Tuesday, through tomorrow. So it'll slack off, it'll ease off considerably, but very difficult to pick a direction. Now Wednesday, I do see cyclonic flow developing over the group. So the direction of the winds is really a function of where you are, if you can picture a circle of wind. So where you are is definitely important based upon this rotary circulation. Now by Thursday, the wind is going to organize, meaning that it will be more or less in a relatively single direction, and that would be southeast. So southeasterlies by Thursday, they'll be in the 15 knot range. Thursday, southeasterlies, 15 knots. Now, the trough over Vanuatu brings plenty of showers, cloud, of course, for the complete chain. As you guessed, I just jumped to Vanuatu. Fresh winds, east, southeast, right in there, 15 to 20 knots. Seas up to 2 meters. And I see plenty of showers for Luganville and Port Vila today, and I suspect tomorrow as well. Most of these are going to be brief, very quick. Anyone trying for New Zealand today from there will not be very happy. The winds are pretty much going to be on the nose, and really the same for New Caledonia if you decide to depart on Tuesday, tomorrow. And since we're talking about New Cal, today actually is a tempting day to leave with light and variable winds, basically about 10 knots, very, very nice. But they're going to shift to the southeast by dinner tonight, only about 12 to 15. And light air actually through Thursday, easterlies about 10 knots. There is going to be a period where the winds will be right on the nose, but we're getting to see a lot of variable winds now. Very explicit in direction on one run, and then another run, I'm talking about model runs, occur, and we see a change in one direction. So the models are struggling with these conditions. So I'll give you some actual conditions for New Cal, the outer reef. This morning, east-northeast at 9 knots. Sounds quite nice, certainly lovely for taking off if you wanted to. Ile de Pan, northeast 6. And actually the winds right through Sunday, all this week through Sunday, northeasterlies. They'll be preceding a cold front that will arrive over New Zealand late on Thursday. And that front extends right up to Norfolk Island. So while it does look pretty nice at the moment, we are going to get those winds toward the end of the week. Now, that's going to be in a halfway decent direction, but it does precede a frontal band, and weather in fronts can be not nice. Those leaving Tonga on Wednesday, we had a couple of yachts that have emailed in, and we're talking about wanting to go from Tonga to New Zealand, possibly to Minerva Reef, but I think most of them wanted to go direct to New Zealand. Well, you may want to rethink that entire idea. I'm looking at cyclonic winds and quite a bit of convective activity at that time, and we can call it the house special for Wednesday. A lot of convective activity. Now, the weekend, by this coming weekend, depression is going to form just east of Coffs Harbour, and it will be over New Zealand about a week from today. So that isn't promising either. So in other words, why did I mention that in terms of people leaving Tonga? Well, that's about the time the Tonga people would be arriving. So you would have that depression at Coffs to worry about on arrival. But, it's been one of those really 2 or 3 weeks where it's very difficult to say for sure just what the wind conditions and rain and so forth are going to do to you. So that's about it from me. We've got people, from what I can see, the boss will have it here, who's leaving, who's planning on leaving, and so forth and so on. So I'll give it back to her, and we'll see what the story is.
Well, some of them are more long-term, definitely looking at how to get New Cal to New Zealand and Fiji to New Zealand. But the short-term ones, we've got a couple of boats, Mezzaluna and Bla Elinor, want to get from Port Vila to Noumea this week, Wednesday to Friday. If you could look at that one now, that would be good. And I think we've covered the Tonga to New Zealand one. So let's just have a look at Port Vila going west to New Caledonia, Mezzaluna and Bla Elinor. it's for those people that haven't been in New Caledonia before. They're very, very marine friendly, I think you would put it, because you really don't have to go right to Noumea, as long as, well, you'll probably, if you're coming from Port Vila, you'll go through Havana Pass, and you can just take your time to get up there based on weather and the current, because, you know, it is pretty tidal in there. So you'll go through, maybe stay a night or two at Boise or Crony. A lot of people get around the corner and go into Crony, and then just slowly make your way up to arrive there Monday to Friday. They don't operate on the weekend. So Monday to Friday, don't go off the boat, but just and be in a line sort of on the way up. And they are quite happy about that. In fact, on Monday mornings, they don't even open until 8:30. Usually it's 8 o'clock. We tended to just arrive and anchor at Orfilina and take the dinghy in, and then you have to get them back to do the inspection. But if you're going into Port Moselle, don't expect anything miraculous until mid-morning on Monday, and then they will appear at some stage and all will be well. So just give them a call. I can't even remember the VHF. I think it's 73, something like that. But if you did call, someone would tell you if you're heading in that direction. All right, David is currently having a look at getting from Port Vila to New Caledonia. The opening bid was Wednesday, so I'm not sure what he's going to do. Let's have a look, and I'll pass the microphone.
Well, those of you that picked Wednesday for the departure, good for you on that, because that hopefully will be the end of this convective activity that we're seeing currently. You certainly don't want to leave before Wednesday. So I would say the winds are looking pretty good. They're mainly going to be out of the southeast. Now that could change. I've got one of the models is actually picking up some cyclonic activity in between the two, actually sort of just to the south of Anisham. Only one is doing that. The rest of them looking halfway decent. Now on Friday, you'll be about halfway there on Friday, I would reckon. So your winds look like east. They might even be east-northeast, or just barely east-northeast, and pretty light, I would say, in the 10-knot category. So that's looking at Friday, so that's a little bit more than halfway. Then Saturday, the winds go to the northeast as you're approaching the loyalties. So east to east-northeast in the Mare area, and then say arrival on Saturday, where the winds pretty much are pulling to the northeast. They're coming from the northeast, and I would say in the 15-knot category. So other than that one little bit of light air that may or may not develop into some convective activity, you're going to be fine. So that's what I could see. Now that's, I was looking at something else. No, that should be all right. Wednesday, arrival, say Sunday, with halfway little iffy, funny looking things there, but light air, you should be okay. So we'll see. It's only Monday, so we'll see what it looks like tomorrow and go from there. Here's the chief.
And did you cover getting from Fiji? I'll just tell you, somebody has just sent me a picture of the winning margin. Boy, I feel sorry for the person who had to make a decision on this one. It's at the World Athletic Championships at Doha, and this is the final, 3,000 meters. So these guys have run 3,000 meters. They both have identical sneakers on, and boy, it is really hard. I would say there's a millimeter difference. They've made a decision that the Kenyan has pipped the Ethiopian by probably a half a millimeter. It is almost impossible because it's made easier by the fact that they've got the same sneakers on. But boy, I wouldn't like to have made the call. It's an incredible picture. Okay, There we have it. We've got, that's about it. Did you make a comment? I was too busy reading
Fiji,
something.
this is Fiji to Newcastle. That's what I
No, no, Fiji to New Zealand I'm talking about
Oh,
now.
no,
Oh, no, that will have to wait for another day. All right, well, I'll get them working on that tonight. I know you people, well, you're probably excited by the fact that it was 15 degrees this morning, but do keep in mind that that's because we've got a northeast wind.
I need ETAs for that.
And he definitely needs ETAs. If you folks, you can't just ask a general question. You need to tell us what you've looked at, when you think you're going to leave, and give the ETA. That is really important. You don't want to have what that last lot of boats had when they arrived in New Zealand. Gale force 40 knots southwest. It is not nice. So do look at your passage plan and give an ETA, and we'll go from there. All right, folks, that's about it from us. The week has started, so we'll get going. If you do have questions, we would appreciate them the night before so that David can have a good study of things and know what's coming up, because it is quite difficult in the mornings to try and do a decent job of looking at all the different models and so on and so forth. Well, he says it's impossible, but he does do a reasonable job. Okay, cheers everybody. And is there anybody else with a passage report? Anyone else wanting to come in? Please call now. Gulf Harbour, I got that call, but I didn't hear the boat name again. What do you reckon? Lucan, go ahead.
I just wanted to tell David that the wind was pretty much that to look like the
And was that the GFS Gribbs over?
W.
Oh, okay. Well, that's always good to know. So thank you for that report. The Gribbs for the weekend, where he's just nodding his head here. Thank you for that. Yep, that is good. Actually, he's been quite happy with GFS lately. And folks, this is a general comment. We do appreciate the reports coming in, because he does check what's happening with what was predicted. So always good to know. Gives you a bit of confidence for what predictions might be made. So, yep, thanks for that. Cheers. Over. I don't think there's anybody else. Thumbs up from going to the